Welcome to our masterful agents and investors nationwide. Today is Thursday, January 23rd, 2025, and this is All the Leads Mastermind podcast number 512. Nothing in particular that I want to start with today, Tim. What you got?
So is this a masterful mastermind?
It is. You picked up that. Yes,
Only for masterful agents and investors, huh?
correct.
I like that. That's a good thing. Well, welcome everybody. It's good to see you guys here. I see that everyone has survived the week thus far. That's a plus. We're on a roll for this year, and off we go. Yeah, we didn't announce a topic for today. We have a couple of things that we'll go over that are somewhat housekeeping related and tie to what we talked a little bit about last week when Matt was here and gave a little presentation about the changes that they're making, and we've done some stuff in the interim to just kind of solidify the structure a little bit, and we'll talk a little bit about that when we get to it. That'll be great. Just to again let you know, this is your call, not our call. It's also not it's different than other calls like this. It's not a pitch fest where you're here to get sold stuff every time. We very seldom do that. Mostly we're here to answer questions and hopefully get great topics and raise the level of our collective intelligence in regard to the industry that we're in. So if you want to raise your hand, simply click on in my case, there's a heart at the bottom of the screen that says react. And at the bottom of that, when you click on it, there's a thing that says raise hand. And if you click on that, a hand will raise, just like it is on my image there that you can potentially see. And that's how you do that. And you have something to say, talk about a win that you have, talk about a question, talk about a circumstance, anything that you want to bring up that you want to talk about, that would be great. I encourage you to do it on the call rather than typing it into the chat. Realize that if you do that, you get the benefit of a lot of other people. Typing it into chat is fine, but we have as many people that are seeing this on Facebook and seeing it live other places that are not in the Zoom call as are on it. So you miss all those people. So we really want to talk about it. If you type it into chat, we're going to probably bring it up and talk about it as well. But we want to hear from you. That's the purpose of this. And hopefully we will hear a lot from you today. Bruce is running a little bit late. He's got a meeting that he was finishing up. And I see that we're a little bit shy on coaches. We only have the brightest one of them with us at this point, which is Aline, and she'll make up for all the rest of them, right, Aline?
Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's important. So we're going to turn it over to her now, and we'll go from there. Now Steve is here, so you only have to be half as brilliant.
I have to be half a person.
There
Okay.
you go. Steve has finally gotten here, and so we're going to use him for the other half of that. Anyway, that's what's cooking. On a more serious note, it's as we all know, interesting marketplace, interesting things happening. There have been some changes at the top levels of some of the larger commercial real estate or residential real estate companies in the country this week. At the leadership positions. That's probably going to have some effect on the people that are part of those companies. I think you're going to see more of it. I think many things are changing in our market, and some of them are good, some of them are bad. But for us, our job is to look at them and say, what can we do as a group? What can we offer to each other and to ourselves to best take advantage of the opportunities that we have? And as we all know, properties are going to get sold, and they get sold every day, and people buy stuff every day, and we want to be the people that are doing that. So that's what we're here for. Having said all of that, I'll just kind of kick off and give you something to think about as we go here. Jody, do you have that ready to show to people, the thing we talked about before we started? Okay. So Matt is here as well, and we talked last week about the changes that are occurring in the TCPA law and why that has bearing on you and why it matters. And we've been answering questions through the week since then from a lot of people some people are concerned, some people are saying, I don't care. I'm just going on with it and doing my thing. And, again, we're not here to tell you what you have to do. We're here to tell you the best that we can give you in terms of advice. We do know that Matt and his folks do a tremendous job, and our people are pleased by that. And that's pretty much how we grade it. We don't tell him how to do his job. We don't tell him what to do. He works for you, and you tell him what to do. Basically, he's your guy. And he and his people are the folks that are responsive to your customers. What I'm pleased about is that they're taking an innovative approach to what they're doing and adding more value rather than just sitting there saying, well, we'll just keep making phone calls and hope we're successful. He's doing some neat things to add some social media to it and retargeting and adding a lot more value than we've seen in the past. Not that they weren't doing valuable things in the past, but I'm just delighted that the company that we're working with is innovative. And I think they're going to ultimately redefine the market on the call center side of this. They're doing things that other people aren't doing, and as they get better at doing it and learn more about it, I think you're going to see the benefit. So in order to do that, there's a reason that we're going to make some changes. And I'll take a question before we go. Belinda, you have a question. I'll ask you to unmute yourself. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hi. Hi. So I have a situation right now. It's a divorce situation, and it's my first. I have been an agent for 1.5 years, and this is something I have not encountered yet. So she was a FSBO that I was calling, and she took the house off market. It was on the market last year. She took it off the market. And I called her the end of the year. It was off market, just trying to, call in to say, hey, what's your plans for 2025? She called me back. She wants to sell. And that's when I went to meet with her, that was when I found out it was a divorce situation. So they've been separated for 2 years. Neither of them have an attorney representing them. And when I sat with her, she was very vague in a lot of information she was sharing, but she insisted that her house be sold for a certain price. Now, the house does need work because it's been unattended for a little while. Not bad enough where I would want to get an investor to purchase it because it's still a good house. It just needs more cosmetic stuff. So I'm representing her, and we got an offer within 2 weeks of being on the market. He's very good about everything. He's been wanting the house sold, the soon-to-be ex. But when we got the offer, she refused to sign, and so we lost the offer. I'm now realizing, and I know that there's questions I missed in the beginning, but even though there were a lot of questions I asked, she wouldn't tell me because she said it wasn't my concern or anything. So it's been challenging trying to get information from her. And now I'm in a place where I put it on hold because she said she wants to exit, but he doesn't want to exit. I'm just trying to navigate between him and her. Like, when she tells me something, is it that I need agreement on both sides? Because that's kind of what I've been saying. And then the other thing is, now she wants to sell the house for $20,000 more than what the market is asking for in the area, and she refuses to do anything else. And I'm just trying to figure out the best way to navigate this, how to have the conversation with her. And then when the offer came, she said she wasn't going to leave unless she had 60 days to move out. I mean, it was just like all this stuff that just all of a sudden came up. And well, anyway, like I said, we lost the offer. So yeah, I'm just confused as to the best way to move forward with it.
Let me ask you a couple quick questions. Have you spoken to the husband yet at all?
Yes.
Okay. And so you've had a conversation, at least an oral conversation with both of them, right?
Correct.
Okay. And do they have animosity for each other?
Yes.
So they don't get along?
Correct.
Okay. And you had a listing agreement with the wife, is that correct?
Both of them. They
So
both signed.
you signed the agreement?
They both signed, yes.
So what reason then did they give for not accepting the offer that you got them?
She wouldn't accept it. He accepted it. He signed it, and I was having the conversations, but she refused to sign.
She refused to sign it.
Correct.
Okay. Was it below, how much below what she wanted for it was it?
We listed for 360 and the offer came in at 330.
How much equity is in it?
Oh gosh, almost 200,000.
So, I mean, kind of part of what you have to look at, he's already living someplace else, obviously, right?
Correct.
And she's looking at it as there's a reason that she's got a number in her mind, right?
There is.
And
I have recently found out, yes.
and what is that?
Well, once she sells, she really, at first she was going to move to Florida. That's what she shared with me in the beginning. But when after the offer came and it expired, I found out that she has debt and he's not supporting her. So she really needs to cover debt. And after she covers the debt, that's all she's going to really have to live on until their divorce, they can get to an agreement within the divorce.
And does she plan to buy or does she plan to rent?
She's probably going to rent. I mean, that's a question I keep asking her, but she has not given me any answer. I mean, I'm trying to pin her down to ask her, like, what is the exit strategy for herself? And she just won't talk to me about it.
Right. Well, you're asking the right questions, and the truth of this is you're going to have to demand that, or you can't get it much further. Because if you don't get better info out of her and know more about what's going on, and Aline can tell you more about this than I can, but you got to get back into control of this.
Yeah.
And you're not at this point. And I was going to say if they weren't at each other's throats and there wasn't a lot of animosity, putting them both together, sitting around a table would be a good place to do that. But you can't do that if they want to hit each other when you're doing that. That's a bad thing.
Yeah.
Aline, go ahead.
So Belinda, I just wanted to ask to clarify a couple of questions. You said at the beginning, neither one of them had an attorney. Do they have
Correct.
one now?
No.
Okay. So I think it would be beneficial, and it could also work to your advantage, is to make some recommendations for an attorney. And that could also offer you some leverage to be able to have somebody else to partner with to move things along. So that's one thing that I would definitely suggest if they're open to that, because eventually they're going to need it.
Right.
So that's super helpful. The other thing with her, it sounds to me like she just may be buying time. Oftentimes, regularly, just in a normal situation, not even with a divorce, a FSBO, a for sale by owner, is going to be a tough customer. They think they know more. They think they understand the market. They think they could just obviously do it on their own because they're going to get more money. They're going to try to save that commission. So there's a personality or expectation that goes behind somebody who's originally a for sale by owner. So keep that in mind when you're communicating, and she's probably trying to buy time. She's in the house, and whatever is going on, there's something that's keeping her from moving forward, whether it be fear, whether it be letting go of the house, just trying to maybe buy some time. But I think what could really be a great advocate and help for you is to make some recommendations for attorneys. Obviously, you get to do 2 here, and meet with her maybe from a different perspective, from a way of, approach it instead of just asking questions from, let's just getting on to the next phase. Why aren't you wanting to, more, what I'm trying to say is not so much business sense, but more kind of coming from I can understand friend approach.
Right. Got you.
Yeah.
And Aline, I was going to add to that. I think you're exactly right. You're doing first of all, Belinda, you're doing a lot right. by asking a lot of probing questions. It's also possible that it isn't a money issue, that she has control now and she's punishing him by not cooperating, unfortunately.
Right.
And if that's the case, not a whole lot you can do except, wait it out. But the more questions you ask like that, the more you can get to the truth, the easier it's
Mhm.
going to be for you, for sure. Steve, you
Got
had a
you.
comment too?
Yeah, I was just going to ask one other question that I should have asked before. Is there a divorce document between them? Have they filed? Is there a document?
They have filed, yes. They went to court the beginning of this year. I think it was the first full week of January, and she did express a lot of frustration out of that court appointment, the court meeting that they had. But so yeah, I mean, I hear what you're saying, that there's definitely a lot going on, and it can be very punishing, because when I let her know that because she wanted me to have him sign everything first, because I think she didn't think he was going to sign it. But what's happening is that he's turned out to be my ally, and he's like trying to encourage it. And then the other day, she did accuse me of being his best friend, and then she hung up on me.
Sounds
I
like
don't
So
know if
I
you,
understand.
great.
What's
I don't know
that?
if you play, I don't know if you play poker, but she called his bluff, or he called her bluff. Unfortunately, she doesn't know what to
Yeah.
do.
So
That's what it sounds like.
well, exactly. So
Yeah.
now I understand when you talk about approaching it from just really being a friend to her. I get that, and I see that, and just really forget about the house buying part, and just sort of have a conversation and listen to her to regain, any trust back. But she hasn't really been responding to me lately. But I did text her yesterday to see how things were going, and she just said, "I need time."
Mhm.
What does the divorce document say in regard to the house?
Actually, I haven't seen any document, but he did let me know that he's been, they've been working to get the house sold, or he's been trying to encourage her to do that. So I don't know what there is around the house, I'll be honest with you, but they've both agreed that selling the house is something they want to do.
Well, the question is it included in the divorce document? Because if it's in there, it typically would be in there with a timeline. There
Got
would
you.
be specification about when it had to be sold or didn't have to be sold or whatever. And if that's in there, that's one thing you definitely need a fact about to know where that is. If it says, within X months of decree, the house has to get sold, then that's one thing. If it
Got you.
allows her to stay in it, I mean, you got to know where the building blocks are here and what she's got her feet, what she can put her feet on that's solid. If she doesn't have to sell it, she can hold out and do exactly what she's doing, which is buy time.
Right.
Who's
Got
paying,
you.
who's paying the mortgage right now? Are they paying it jointly?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I'm not sure, because she hinted at one point where I thought the house was going into foreclosure because they weren't paying, because he's not giving her any money. But she did say the other day, because she did tell me after the offer went through, she said, which is when I put it on hold, she said, "I want to save the house. I want to keep it." And so it's like, I don't want to sell anymore. And it's just been very confusing, But then she turns around the next day and says, "I want to sell it, but I want to sell it for 30,000 more than what we were talking about before." And now it's just turned into some very a lot of I don't know, just unrealistic requirement. I shouldn't say unrealistic, but just a lot of requirements that if this is going to happen, this is how it has to be.
Right. You've
So
got to sit down with her and have her bring to that meeting the divorce document so you know what's in there. And
mhm.
you've got to have a straight up meeting.
Yeah.
You're finding the challenges in all of this. And Bill
Yes.
Gross said, it sounds like you're finding out why he wanted a divorce.
I saw that too.
Yeah,
Snarky.
that might
Correct.
be true. But I mean, I think the reality is you started off with her as your client. I think you need, as Aline said, you got to put yourself back in that situation.
Yeah.
You're her buddy again, and she's not thinking that, you're working with the husband against her. And if you don't, you're if you don't get some of this stuff done, my suggestion to you is you go find another place to work with, because you got so many unanswered questions here. If you don't get some of them answered, you're not going to get this thing done, and you're going to waste a lot of time. I think
Correct.
there's an opportunity there, and obviously there's a lot of equity in it. And I think you need to focus on getting that equity, and her deal ought to be, where are you going to go and how can I help you do that? And you're on the right track, but you got to sit down with her over coffee and get that done.
I understand. No, I will. And definitely looking at the divorce document. I haven't done that, but that's definitely something I'll absolutely do.
Yep. And if she won't give it to you, if nothing else, I mean, ask her husband for it. He probably has it as well, and he might
Right.
share it with you, and at least you kind of know where you stand. And that you need to get, I would say that is top of your list of needing to know what that document says.
Absolutely. And I can do it. I can get it from him for sure.
Right. And also, you said they don't have an attorney, but in fact, they probably do, because somebody created that document for them. So, they may not have an attorney who's working with them on the real estate, but you may find that that divorce attorney has his tendrils into this housing transaction as well, and you don't know that either without asking.
Got you. I will ask him because she mentioned when they went to court in January, I asked if she was represented and she said both of them were unrepresented. That's
So,
why I said neither of them have an attorney, because she just shared when they were in court.
so they went to divorce court with a document for decree with no attorney.
That is correct.
Interesting.
That's what she said. That's what she shared when I asked.
Ask him the same question.
I will. I absolutely will.
You may find there may be a different answer there. It's always possible. Hey, Roger,
Thank
I
you.
saw you raise your hand. You know what we're talking about. I assume you want to talk about that?
Yeah, and I
Also,
think
Steve-
I got
Steve has
the
a comment
answer.
also. Go ahead.
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine. Go ahead.
I got the answer at the last of that discussion. It's a golden opportunity to build a relationship with each one of their attorneys, because talking to each one of them, they have their own emotional baggage bringing into every conversation about that's going on here. But having a constant flow of communication between them and their attorney, and then going to the other one, talking to them and their attorney, you have a beautiful opportunity to create a relationship with attorneys that's in family law, and possibly a potential referral base for other stuff like divorces and probate and trusts and so on and so forth. But without attorneys or a court document that is starting that outline on it, it might be a great opportunity to refer them to an attorney for representation, because it looks like this is going to get messy quick, if
Yeah.
it's not already messy. And they need to have adults talking about this in the court structure, so that everybody knows what the ground rules are, and everybody can start working on the property division within the state law. So I think you got a great opportunity to build attorney relationships out of this, even though whether or not you get this house or not, and I hope you do, because you're trying to work both ends and maintain a positive, productive relationship with each one. You have a great understanding of what their pain points are, and how you might be able to work with each one of them through the process. That's all I got.
Thank
Great.
you. I appreciate it all. Thank you.
You bet. Thank you very much. And it's a great question, great place to start us off today. That's a good one for sure. Steve, you had something to say along the way here. Do you want to go? You want to say it?
Sure. So Belinda, based on what you had said, what came to mind for me is I don't think she is ready. But perhaps saying, hey, if you're looking at foreclosure, that $200,000 in equity could go away. And it's not to put pressure on her, but it's a fact. It's realistic. All right. At some point, you're going to go closer to it if they continue to get behind on their payments. Unless they're going to work with a lender and they can restructure, which typically, sometimes they work with them, sometimes they don't. I think the idea that you found a buyer even sooner than she probably anticipated, albeit for less, that may be a point in her mind where she thinks she can find another buyer on the same timeline, not realizing how long it's going to take because people don't sell homes all the time. And the third thing that I'm sure you've run across is I've had many people, particularly FSBOs, they think their house is worth more than what the comparable is. And, you know, I guess soft response to them is, look, you can ask anything you want for the home. Whether or not the market is going to support that is really up to the market. You know, but here's what I can show you that's happened as of late with comparables for homes and what they're going for. And just leave it there for. And I think the other part of it, if it's adversarial, the idea that her husband was willing to sign, in his mind, he's probably saying, hey, there's holding costs to this house. I don't want to go into foreclosure. I don't want to lose. Where maybe in her mind, she thinks he's going to win, but it's really for the best of them. So you're really in a tight position between the two. And like everybody else said, you know, it's just nurture, continue to reach out, not necessarily press for a response, but knowing that she just may realize that, okay, you're the ear, you're the one who's there. So those are the thoughts that came to mind from my perspective.
Well, that's a good point in that, you know, while there may not necessarily be a ticking time bomb if they caught the mortgage up or whatever, if she's not worried now about getting foreclosed. But again, those are questions you need to ask. Has the mortgage been paid current? If not, you know, then you've got another whole potential round of things to deal with. And if there is equity in it and it's heading towards foreclosure, you know, there's another whole bunch of stuff there that they're just going to throw money away. So you really need to acquaint them with, you know, all of the pitfalls that they're facing right now, both of them separately or together, and potentially put it all in writing. Summarize your findings in writing, give it to both of them, deal with it professionally, and say, here's what I'm trying to accomplish. Here's what you both need to know after you get some answers to some of these things. Here's what you both need to know, and approach it in a highly professional way, but very personal, you know, based on their needs, maybe where she wants to go, what he wants to do, learn as much as you can and get back with them. And then ultimately, you know, if it's gonna have to go towards a foreclosure and they don't have the money, you know, they may have to try to short sale it. Hopefully that doesn't, hopefully you can just get it sold quickly without having to do that. And you may be able to sell it to someone who would let her do a delayed closing, you know, for some consideration financially. It's possible to do that, but you know, you don't want to lead with that. You want to try to do it as close to a normal conventional transaction as you can. So anyway, those are all the kind of things that are there. And Dill, you asked to be heard. What you got there, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so just two questions. On the divorce leads, I haven't called anybody yet. I've been getting the leads for a few months. Jim knows. So just I'm going to be beginning to start calling and all that, and just wondering and reading material on that I can get access to, just dealing with what the opening dialogues are or something. I've been just looking for the information how to start that conversation, because I don't have the attorney information right on those leads. So is it ideal to call the person who's filing for divorce or the other party? I guess the person who's filing for divorce, I guess, is the ideal person. So just any more light on that issue.
You don't always know. We try to give you both husband and wife and all the info. And it's really, you know, up to you what you do. The issue is getting in touch with who's going to either drive the decision or make the decision. And in those kinds of cases, it may be one or both, and you're probably going to have to talk to both of them to find out. But I will say this, back to what Belinda asked. Oftentimes, we're missing key pieces of the information. You know, not knowing what a divorce decree says, even if it hasn't been decreed, which it wouldn't have been if it's coming from our lead source. We give it to you before it's a decree. Therefore, all the things that might happen haven't necessarily happened yet. So, you know, we're hopefully getting two transactions, both one for the husband, one for the wife, not only selling the house, but helping them relocate. That's why it's so advantageous to work with our leads. But the other thing I'm getting at is, you really need to know as much as you can about it and far more about the circumstances of the sellers than with other types of sales in some cases, because it has bearing on that sale. In a conventional transaction, somebody wants to sell a house, they're moving someplace, at worst, you may find that they've got to sell their house to be able to move, and you got to juggle timeline a little bit. With a divorce, you have two of those things at play, two different sets of timelines, potentially two completely different motivations. Sometimes you have, one or the other of them doesn't want to get divorced in the first place. So you got to know all these things before you take a ton of time for yourself and your people. The more you know, the better you're going to be, and the more professional you are approaching them in those circumstances. Bill, you have any comment on that at all?
Yeah, so in California, they have moderators, right? They're not attorneys that help you work out. What I've noticed in court is those guys zip right to the front of the line because the judge loves it. It's all settled, no disagreements. But the thing I've really learned through my first divorce sale of all the leads is that you got to be Joe neutral. All you're doing is looking to get the highest value for that house. Every action is about maximum value for that house. And as Tim said, I got both ends. I mean, they haven't bought yet, but it looks like I got the husband and the wife's purchases. I'm showing houses to the wife or the ex-wife tomorrow. So, you just really got to figure out a way to stay in the middle. And Belinda, I totally feel for you because divorces are ugly and messy. I had one where she worked for the IRS and he was a garbage collector, right? Totally different perspectives, but did they like to fight them? So anyway, I would just try to get someone that's neutral third to handle the divorce and clean it up. And I also check the property profile and see if there is an NOD filed on there.
Okay. Bruce, I see you've joined us here. Are you able to chat today?
I can chat. I'm driving, so I'll probably keep my camera off most of the time. But hey, everybody. I'm going to speak to Belinda's situation in a second. But first off, I just had an unbelievable mastermind around probate and teams. So there's a lot of good stuff coming up inside of what we're going to be talking about on this call and on the probate mastery calls and everything like that. So real quick, throw my camera off. I don't want to get in trouble by having to look at a camera. Belinda, I didn't hear your the whole story, but I heard enough to know that when you have someone that seems to be stuck, like the wife in your situation seems to be stuck, laying out 2 or 3 options for them is typically the best way to go. So going and saying, the way that I see this is you have these 2 options. Option 1, we do this. The benefit is X, Y, and Z. The problem is your husband gets the satisfaction of winning. Okay. Option 2 is we do this. The benefit is your husband doesn't get the satisfaction of winning and forcing you out. The benefit is you keep $100,000 of equity. Now, I didn't hear enough of the backstory to know if my options or scenarios are even relevant, but when any of us are facing a client that seems to be stuck, and I did it this morning with someone, seemed to be stuck on something, we go, option 1 is we do this. Here's the good thing. Here's the problem with it. Option 2 is this, good, bad. And I literally did it on something relatively trivial, just with a due diligence or repair negotiation this morning. Option 1, we dig our heels in and we lose the buyer. Option 2, we counter them. Option 3, we accept what they've given us. We move forward. Which one's best for you? Obviously, we don't want to lose the buyer. Obviously, your client, the wife in this situation, doesn't want to lose all her equity. So lay the options out, with the worst being don't do anything and potentially lose blank. And give just 2 of those or 3 at most and see what she chooses. She's going to feel like she has more control in it because she's probably feeling a little bit trucked over right now. All right, that's all I have for the moment. I'm not heavily on the phone with divorce, so I'm not going to speak to Gil's situation at the moment.
Okay, great. Let me comment on this as well, and this kind of goes back to what I think Bill asked also. One of the things that we will be doing within the next 7 days, for sure. We already have it. We're just kind of going to bounce it around our coaches. Is an opening set of scripts. In other words, if you are able to have some of those conversations, when we started off with doing this, we said, oh, we don't want you to use scripts because then you're going to sound stilted and potentially not conversational and all that. And that's true for sure. But the reality is there's human nature involved, and part of this is that people typically, when they're just starting, feel more comfortable having something to fall back on. So we're changing our stance there, and we learn as we do, and it's only taken us a decade to figure this one out. So maybe we'll get better as we go. But we're going to start providing scripts for all of the disciplines that we have, so that we at least give you some conversation to have. And some of this is from our own internal resources. Some of it's working with Matt and his folks. They're very generous to share the things that they find that work well, and all that sort of stuff. So we're all everybody can't use Matt, even though they should. Sometimes it takes a while to get there, and so for those of you that can't, we're trying to give you as best we can to do that. The other side of this is that we've, over the years, over a decade now, we provide tremendous resources, and we feel the best in the business for the probate side. We rushed to market to try to get you alternate lead sources because we know they're necessary, which is why we brought pre-probate out and why divorce is out there, and some of those things are out there. Without having all of the same support mechanisms in place that we have, and training and all of that we have for probate. So we're going to be adding a lot of that as we go in the future. We've got a couple of subject matter experts in divorce that we've had on our call, but we need somebody who is going to be dealing with that, like the folks that are on here now that are our coaches are dealing with probate. They're all superstars in the probate world. We need to similarly find superstars in the divorce world who are used to dealing with this different set of circumstances. The late mortgage world, that's kind of a typical real estate transaction. If you don't know how to deal with that, that's kind of basic blocking and tackling in real estate. That's a normal something you got to kind of understand how to work, and we'll give you some supporting pieces around it, but shouldn't be as difficult because it's not that different. But the two that we're going to give you more resources on are certainly divorce, and then also pre-probate, because pre-probate is quite different than probate. In terms of probate, obviously the value in pre-probate is it's in probate, a document has been filed, all that sort of stuff there, but the people that are there, there's no personal representative, no determination about who can and can't sell the house, all of that. So we're going to provide you with some resources for how to ferret out the right people and understand how to do it. So just letting you know that keep asking the questions of your people. We're going to be answering them in a more definitive way as we go, and ask them on this call. Challenge us to do that. Yell at us if we don't. Yell at Jim personally. It's all Jim's fault.
Yeah, right. Right.
Anyway, but that I think is the point that I was trying to make, is that we know that we're not standing here saying, well, we got our act together as well in all of the disciplines we support as we do in probate. We don't, but we're getting there, and we will get there as we go forward. Matt, you raised your hand, buddy. Pearls.
Yeah, I wanted to add. So for pre-probate, something that we're working on actually right now is we've got a video that we're doing kind of retargeting on. One of the biggest unique selling propositions that we found with pre-probate is if you can show them how they can zero cost the attorney or not have to pay for an attorney, or pay for the attorney out of the proceeds of when the home sells, that's a game changer. And a lot of times what we find is like most of them don't realize, you know, hey, did you know there's a $5,000 to $6,000 attorney fee that you're going to have to go into? And they're kind of shell shocked by it. And in most cases, they freeze because they're either too afraid to make that phone call, they're fearful of the attorney, or they think that they call an attorney, they're immediately somehow going to get charged. So it's a very interesting, it's a really interesting concept, but going in there with the idea of, hey, this is how we can help you zero cost your attorney services. So we're creating a video for that for some of our folks that have us focused on pre-probate to do the retarget marketing to. And I'm really excited about that because I think that that is going to hit so hard because these guys are, you know, they have no clue what to do. And so it's going to be more based along the challenges that they're having and how they can do it without having to, well, like the slide deck was last week, without having to go broker crazy. And so that's the objective is if you could zero cost it and use the proceeds to from the sale of the house, that's a game changer.
Awesome. Aline?
Yes. So, Dale, I wanted to put it out there for you that I do have like icebreakers for divorce leads. So I'm happy to share that with you. That's not exactly a script, but it's more of just an intro, whether you sent a letter or whether you've sent a letter before the call or what to say if you haven't sent a letter yet. Just something.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that because I have done some divorce sales before, but usually it's a referral. You already know them, you get involved, and the key is always be neutral. So I totally get it because usually I start a group text message or a group email where every message goes to both parties at the same time. And sometimes if they're good attorneys, I put them on an email as well and a text message as well. So that way nobody can say, hey, you told me that, you told somebody else that. So just keep it simple. But here my trouble was just to reach out the very first time, that icebreaker.
Exactly.
That's
So it's
where my
it's a
hesitation.
cold lead, essentially. They're not expecting your call. So it's
And many times it's a private matter.
it's a
So they're like,
very-
how the hell you know?
100%. It's a very sensitive matter. And with probate, that's that's where the similarity is, right? It's a very sensitive
So
matter.
our Staten Island is about 120,000 homes and about 550,000 people. So I see the names and it's like almost I see sometimes a name that are familiar. Like, oh, I seen this person and I'm in a chamber of commerce meeting or something, you know. So it's kind of touchy. So when you call them, obviously the conversation is how you know. So how do you handle that? Just say I'm buying the leads. It's a public record. That's how I know. I'm just wondering what's the answer to that question if somebody do ask.
So, yeah, for sure, you don't want to start the conversation by saying that, you know, you've bought leads and this is how you know. They're going to hang up on you. The likelihood that they'll stay on the phone and continue a conversation. And you really honestly want to approach it by saying, I realize that this may be a difficult conversation and really do a pattern interrupt. Maybe this isn't even relevant to you, but I'm reaching out because I noticed that you may be in a difficult situation going through a divorce. And I'm not sure if you've received my letter yet, but this is X, Y, and Z what I do. So we have a couple of them. Happy to share them with you. You can reach out to me and I'll send it over to you and happy to discuss it further too.
And I was talking to Jim actually a few months ago. I would be interested in doing the Jim, what we talked about, taking the 2023 and 2022, perhaps even 2021, and kind of cleaning up them out and see what is really active remaining out of those.
Yep.
Is possible.
Dale, you want me to reach out after this call? We can get started on that if you're ready.
Yeah, he said yes, Jim.
Okay, got it. We'll do.
Aline, if you would send those to me as well. I'd like to just look at them and see if they tie to some of the stuff we're doing in regard to the script side of this as
Yeah,
well.
so absolutely. This is something that I got from the office as well. So it was when I started working with subscribers that are handling divorce leads, it was given to me. So it is in-house.
Perfect.
Yes.
That's great. That's great.
But I
Well,
will send it over to you as well, Tim, just to as a refresher.
cool deal. Jody, I wanna we started to get to you in the very beginning, and we've now gone through almost all the call here. We talked last week with Matt about, how to structure, make things work, how to, keep things rolling. And the fact that because of the changes in the law, Matt has had to change his business model. And so we are offering a service that we're trying to encourage you to use appointments today, to make phone calls for you if you're not doing it. And we're obviously doing it with new customers as they come on board. One of the questions that came up was, well, what if I'm an existing customer and I just haven't pulled the trigger yet? Well, if you have pulled the trigger, good for you, because you're already experiencing the great stuff that they do and you're already benefiting from it. Good for you. But if not, Matt's changed his pricing since we started this. So we're going to give you a $250 coupon to throw at Matt, and he can work with you to apply that savings to the raise in prices, and therefore you're not eating all of it, and you can get rolling with this. And we're not going to do this forever, so we're setting this up to expire on the 15th of February. You got a couple of weeks to get this done, and reach out to Matt's folks, and all you got to do is get the email that you get from your account rep, and the email will contain this coupon in a PDF format. All you have to do is just forward that to Matt and his folks, sending it to support@appointmentstoday.net along with your order, and they'll apply it, and you can obviously have conversation with Matt and all of that. But it's one time $250 off the services, and that will certainly bring it into the affordable realm for you to get started, get your feet wet with this, and hopefully get some transactions going and get all this on autopilot and leave it there. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what our objective is. So reach out to your account rep and get this done. Elaine has asked, how much are the services? And I think some of that is going to vary, certainly based on your lead count and all that. Matt, do you want to address that question now, or would you rather just do it on an individual basis?
No, I can address it now. I mean, we went over it in the slide deck of course, last week. So for everyone, so what we do, and I'll just give a very quick rundown just because I know we only have 9 minutes left. So we essentially run all of the leads. Number one, we run it through a compliance filter, making sure that there are no litigators that are not on there. I do want to actually really quick give you guys an update on that, because something just happened 2 days ago. So all of the executive orders that Trump had rolled out, this actually fits the bill. So it looks like it's going to be moved up to March the 18th of 2025. So the one-to-one consent does have a delay on it. So that is what we just found out, because the group that I'm a part of also has lobbyists. And so these lobbyists have reached out and said, hey, you said all new orders have to go through you. So here you go. This is a new order. And so as of right now, based on the way that the executive orders are written out, again, not an attorney, I'm just deciphering what's on there, and I'll be happy to send the link. I can post it. But it's supposed to not be rolled out officially until March the 18th. But we're just being extra compliant up front, and we're doing what we need to do to make sure that we're following all the guidelines with that. As far as pricing goes, so we do basically ad retargeting. So we'll go in, we'll retarget these leads. We do it specifically based on their cell phone. When we ran a test, 460 out of 500 leads have Facebook. So as you probably know, I mean, 460 people out of 500 have Facebook. Good amount of your leads are going to have a Facebook account. And so we're retargeting on Facebook, running different ads, different videos, just different images, different variations. And then we also make the calls. We'll call, generally speaking, we've upped it to 300 as kind of like our baseline package. So we'll call up to 300 leads because we know some of those are not going to be callable and et cetera. And so starting price is $795, and then it's $500 one-time setup. The $250 would come off of the setup. So that's everything in a nutshell.
Perfect. That's great. Thank you. And I think the key element in all of this is that it's not likely to get less lenient. It's not likely to get easier to do this. If anything, potentially they'll get more teeth involved in it. And of course, that's something to be aware of. I think the real value that you got to be aware of here is that Matt is biting the bullet on all of this and staying abreast of what's going on legally, what's going on ethically, and all of that, so that you don't have to. And that's the key. You just need to do your job, talk to motivated sellers, talk to motivated people who are going to list or sell their house. And that's really the key element here, is get this on autopilot, get it to, rocking and rolling, and, make it work. So I can't tell you enough that, we're in support of all of this. We don't direct the activity, but we definitely, make sure that we follow the results. We've gotten good feedback from our customers that we've sent to Matt's people, and Matt is certainly great to work with. And that's why we're here. That's why there's not, 16 different call centers being represented on this call. We did make a selection, but it's based on results that people have gotten, and our sense that Matt's doing a good job of keeping it legal and doing the right stuff. So if that ever changes, we'll shoot Matt and we'll go find somebody who we like better. And that's not likely to happen, because I'll tell you, we've been trying to do this since 2016, I think, is the first time we took a try at it. And we failed 3 different times trying to do this right. And Matt's doing a great job of it, and we like working with him. Anyway, that's the story with that. We've got 5 more minutes. If you have anybody has a last minute question they'd like to ask, now'd be the time to raise your hand and we can talk about that. And if you don't have that, I would just tell you that make sure you reach out to your account representative at alltheleads.com, and they will work with you, get you that coupon out to at least have that initial conversation with Matt and his folks to, take advantage of this offer. It won't be repeated. You'd have to become a new customer to make it be repeated, and we want you like you are. So take advantage of it now. And if you've thought about doing it, this is the time to get it done, but we kind of got to get moving. So that's the scoop there. I'll take one more round of, if you've got a question, ask it. I'll look for your hands in the air. I'm going to count 3, 2, 1. And if I don't see it, I'm going to give it to Jimmy, and Jim, you can take us to the barn, buddy.
All right. Going, gone. Any last comments, questions, issues? All right. Another good call, and we're actually finishing 2 minutes early. Go figure. Well, I thank each and every one of you for being here today. Particularly thank Bill, Aline, Steve, Matt, Belinda, Dill, Bruce for actively participating. And I want to challenge each of you, take one good idea that inspired you on this call, go out and put it into practice, and please come back next Thursday and share the results with the group. Have a great week, everybody. Same time next Thursday. Take care.